Sometimes the space is enough. I got that phrase implanted in my mind from God a few months ago. I don't know, maybe it was a year ago, but one time he was like, sometimes the space is enough. The space is enough. You don't have to be running all the time. You don't have to be doing things all of the time because I don't know about you, but have you ever had those moments, especially being Friday, where you're burnt out? You've done enough. You can't wait for the weekend. And I'm talking to you, my favorite entrepreneurs who are working like 60 hours, 80 hours a week doing your thing in your business. And I just want to give you a break. I want to give you permission to take some space this weekend for yourself, for your family, for self-reflection, because if we're really honest with ourselves, sometimes our body is just screaming at us to get outside, go get some fresh air, and to just stop. I was having this conversation with my coach this morning because I was telling him, the times I make the most money is whenever I sit in my chair the most. And I'm not talking about this chair. I'm talking about I call it my money chair, where I just sit and I do whatever I want to do. I journal, I read my scriptures, I pray, I work on my beliefs. I'm just chilling. There's no agenda whatsoever. I just give myself space. And when I do that consistently, that's when everything works so much better, right? Because the space is enough. And I want you to think about it in speaking. You see this in speaking as well. Whenever great speakers know how to speak, they also have mastered the skill of the pause. Because whenever I pause, you wonder, and it builds suspense, right? Just like in a movie, it builds suspense for the next thing that's coming. And the next thing that's coming is going to be so much better, bigger. You're going to listen to it more. Whenever people get quiet, when the room gets quiet, have you ever been in the room where it just all of a sudden it gets quiet and you're like, whoa, what's going on, right? For some reason, it's like counterintuitive, but whenever we give ourselves the space, then it heightens our attention. And I want you, this is not going to be a long live today. I just wanted to give you permission to go out there and give your brain some food for thought to say, like, yes, taking space is working. If you're the workaholic type, like I don't know any of those around here, then I just want to give you and myself permission to just take a break this week because the space is enough. And I want you to comment below actually and tell me when you've taken space and you've gotten a brilliant idea. Right? When you've taken space and the next week you were so much more productive, or you took space and you were so much more patient and loving afterwards. And I'm just saying, I was reading the classic, Psycho Cybernetics. If you guys have not read that book, it's like one of those classic oldie goodie ones where he's talking about we have like this creative mind and spirit, but that's essentially what it is. Like it's like this creative genius that flows into us, but there has to be space for it to flow in, right? If our cup is full, there's no space to receive. And so he just talks about how some of the greatest geniuses in the world, Isaac Newton, major scientists, they would take a break, they would take space, they would take a break. And whenever they did that, that's when the light bulbs would come on. They talked about, I think it was, no, it wasn't Isaac Newton. It was, I'm blanking on his name now, invented the light bulb. You guys got it. Drop it in the chat, Michelle. Brain fart. But he would just take a nap when he couldn't figure out. He'd go take a nap. And then when he got back up, he was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. Or how many of you woken up in the morning? You're like, wow, I have this amazing idea, right? And the space is enough. And so that's my message for you today is hardworking, beautiful, amazing person that is listening right now. You have been out there working so hard. You've been sharing your message. You've been pouring out to others. And now it's time to take some space. If I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. And I just given you permission. And I want everyone who is listening to this, who is resonating with my message, I want you to comment in the chat and give me an instance. Give me an example of why this is true and why this works so that we can all build belief around this idea and give ourselves more permission to take some time off, to take some space, to recharge and to receive the goodness that is just waiting to come into your brain and your life right now. Have a fantastic weekend and we'll see you next week. If you don't know me, Michelle V. I'll see you next week.